French shrimp cocktails. Rightio, so I'm going to just muck around with this for a little bit because that's not high enough. Oh, that'll do. You just have to wear that, my friends. I'm talking to you live from Las Vegas at the beautiful Caesars Palace. I'm inside the Nobu Hotel where it is fantastic. And I've been here for 5 nights and I have one more left. Please tell me if the audio is okay. What have I eaten? Oh my God, I've eaten so many meals and it's been fantastic. And I have to thank Caesars Palace who have hosted me this weekend. And did you see the show run? Have you seen anything? Did you see my video that I put up this morning? Hopefully you did. It's been my top rater of the last 10. A lot of interest in Las Vegas and lots of you, and I'm very keen to see how many Americans are in the feed. So please just, so we got a Montrealan, Jerome or Jeremy. We have one of my members, thank you Radio Alex, from the UK at 2 a.m. So lots of people saying it's going to be too expensive and they're not going to come. Well, the reality of the show here is the fact that there will not be anything like the number of grandstand seats that you would find at a perhaps larger event like Silverstone, Austin, Melbourne. So yes, those seats will be priced at a higher rate because they have to build that whole thing down there. I've got a Langkawi member joining us. Thank you very much, Albert. I've been to Langkawi once. Lovely, although I was disappointed there was a lot of rubbish at the high water mark on the beaches. That is one thing that you're going to have to get your head around if you are intending to come here. Yes, it is going to be expensive. Accommodation's going to be expensive. Now, somebody said that they thought F1 had bought all the hotel rooms in town. I don't believe that to be the case. I think they've got a lot of them, but certainly the casinos would be holding back certain stock for their gamblers, and there'll be, I've already seen stuff online for sale now. Not cheap, starting at around $1,000 a night US, plus taxes, going up to, I think I saw 4,000 at one particular property per night. Yes, that is a lot of money. And if you buy somewhere like Caesars Palace and you've got a room overlooking the strip, you probably don't even have to leave your room to watch the events excuse me, on track. I was impressed with what they did here on Saturday. I thought it was great. The organisation was exceptional. They had, I thought it was about 80,000, but look, clearly I have no idea. It was, they're suggesting 43,000 people lined the Las Vegas Boulevard. It ran from Caesars Palace up to Paris. Both of those are Caesars properties, and I'm guessing that was maybe a kilometre. Certainly wasn't a long run, and they looped into both of the hotels and came back out. They only used one side of the road, and traffic was blocked on the other side for, I'm guessing, 90 minutes, from about 5 o'clock until 6:30, maybe 2 hours. And then afterwards, all those bollards were moved to the side of the road, and traffic was opened up again. Now, someone's asked, can you even book a hotel room for the GP? Yes, I have seen some on sale, but I think a lot of them won't release their stock until December, January. I wouldn't be too worried if you haven't been able to find a room yet. I think they're probably biding their time and working out what stock availability there is. When am I coming to Brazil? Very shortly, and certainly in time for the weekend. And hopefully all the drama has settled down in Brazil with the protests that came about because of the election, I believe. I'm not an expert on that. Australian Grand Prix, Recon, I could grab some free tickets. Reckon I could grab some free tickets. Yeah, if you can get them, go for it. Don't know where you get them. I don't know, people seem to think that we get tickets. We don't need tickets. We have just a simple pass that we hang around our neck. We never touch a paper ticket. I like Vegas as an F1 stage. It is about entertainment. You're right, AMS Cilia, or AM Cilia. And a lot of people have commented that it's all a big show. Yeah, it's entertainment. And when you come to the US and you go to, as I did in this last section of my trip, excuse me, I went to SoFi Stadium to see a football game. It's all about show. The sports are almost secondary, really. Best first class you've had so far, says Radio Alex. Well, it's got to be the Emirates suite, but I haven't travelled Etihad and I've not travelled Singapore Airlines first. What else have you got here? Let's have a look at some of your questions. Do you have to pay for your F1 photography license? No, there's no such thing as a license. We just are accredited by F1, and as such we can roll up to races and make use of the media centre, as long as we're obviously doing something for F1, and I think I'm doing more than my fair share in terms of promoting the sport to probably about 2 million people a week get to see my content across 4 different platforms. And I can tell you, if you are if you've registered to receive information about driver photo prints in advance of them going on sale, because those of you who have registered get an email and then a day later those prints go up for sale, I can tell you that Gunther Steiner is signing 50 copies of a beautiful picture I took of him in Holland. And he is so popular in the US and such a great guy. You might have seen him on the video that I did and posted early this morning, US time. So Gunther is super popular, and his will sell out quickly, I imagine. And they will be, if you're on the registration list, you should be getting an email in a couple of hours. And you can get online and buy them. They are personally signed by the man and numbered. So you get irrefutable proof of authenticity, because I also send you a digital picture of him signing your print. You can also pick up Pierre Gasly, Valtteri Bottas, Alex Albon, and there's only one of Nick de Vries left, one of his very first F1 race, which was in Italy earlier this year. Do I have any intel on the Haas second seat? No, I'm in the same boat as everybody else. Have I ever shot cars on film? I have not. Oh, yeah, okay, but not professionally. This was when I was a punter, going to the Adelaide Grand Prix. Many years ago, I took some pictures, but they weren't very good. Will I be watching any of the World Cup matches? No. I have no interest in soccer, and I'm going to call it soccer because I'm an Australian. We don't call it football. We have a different football. 2 Zions in St George. No, I have been out to some... Oh, let me see if I can find this picture. What's it called? Jade? Yeah, here we go. I did go out to whatever this... Here we go. This is a picture I took out at... you Las Vegans will be able to tell me where that is, but I took a number of pictures. Well, there I am, taking pictures out there with a friend. It was a beautiful, beautiful setting, and it's not far from Las Vegas. Has anyone recognised it? Red Rocks, is that what it is? It's spectacular. I want entertainment, but I want that through good racing. Okay, I think you can have both, but not through bad streets like Miami. Yeah, well, there's a very long straight, though, from... Well, it's a straight and it's got a flat-out curve that goes up to the corner where Planet Hollywood is. Yeah, and turns left. I think that'll be a super spot. If you're up in that particular section of the track, yeah, you'll see plenty of action there with them braking to do that left-hander. Super Bowl tickets can't be way more expensive than $2,500, if you can even find them. Which team do I support in F1? None. Not really. Michael? No, I can't shout you out. Are you excited that the Hulk might be returning? Yes, but lots of things might happen. Until he's returned, I won't be too excited. What's my favourite photo I've taken this season? And funny, Tanner, I asked myself that because I'm going to do a video at the end of the year. Moments or favourite things throughout the year, and I probably have to come up with a photo. I'm thinking Zhou's crash was pretty spectacular. The fact that he ended up 20 metres from me, and had it not been for that catch fence, he would have ended up knocking out the grandstand and people would have toppled over. It could have been a hell of a disaster. Were you an F1 photographer? No, I wasn't during the Indian GPs. Hello, New Jerseyans. What's for dinner tonight? I'm going to Mr. Chow at 7 o'clock. It's now 6:05. We had daylight saving start here the other day, or finish, one or the other. Probably finish. Yeah, last night I went to Guy Savoy. I can't show you the pictures, but I'll show you tomorrow. I've never seen an offering of bread like that place. And also, if you saw my story post, which is still up, I had the world's smallest hamburger. was tasty too. It was about that big, and you held it like that. It was barely a mouthful. Are you going to do a Vettel tribute video? Yeah, I think I will. I did one earlier in the year. I can probably update that. Jaws 1 or Jaws 2? Jaws 1. Do I partake in gambling? I've had a little punt here. I like craps, but the best thing for me is I have hardly any US cash, and I use a debit card that has quite a lot of US dollars already on it. And every time I think I'll go and get some cash out, and I go and look at these cash machines, and they want $9.90 as a processing fee to use their machine. And I go, no, I'm not going to do it. So as such, I spent, I know I might have lost 150 on craps one night. I thought, well, that's most of my cash gone, and I've not got any more to top it up. So it's a good way of not wasting money on gambling. I've not had a win. I've put money in poker machines and on other things just walking past, and I think, what am I wasting my time for? But look, it's nothing. It's unbelievable the number of poker machines. We call them poker machines, or we call them fruit machines or slot machines, that are in these casinos, and they're all taking over. Oh, another thing I saw today that was quite amazing was it was a bar that makes cocktails, but there's no human. It's an automated robot, and I wish I'd had my good video camera because it was quite spectacular to watch. Well, they're out to get you, those casinos. Of course they are, Callum, and they're brilliant at their marketing. But I'm just enjoying the food that I'm eating. Now, I've got to tell you, as an Australian, it's expensive, very expensive to eat here. When you take into account the meal, the exchange rate, the tip and the tax, it's right up there. But there are people out there queuing up day and night. So obviously, to the locals and to anyone here, no one's dissuaded. They're all spending their brass. $9 to take out your own money, that's taking the piss. And then I think that's $9.90 US. And then there's another fee from my bank in Australia of $3.90 Australian. So yeah, and here's a travel tip for you. If you're in a situation like that, and I did this a couple of times in Austin where I needed cash, I refused to go to the machine and pay those fees. So let's say I'm out with dinner with 5 people and they've got cash. I say, I'll put it on my card and I'll pay. I'll take your cash and put it on my card. And if I'm not out to dinner with 5 people and I'm at another restaurant and I see someone about to leave cash on a table, I have no qualms about saying, listen, I'll pay your bill with my credit card. Let's say it's $200 and you give me the $200. It doesn't bother them. They still get their meal paid for, but I save, I don't know, 17, 18 Aussie dollars, which is a right royal rip-off. Someone is, Nico says, he was the guy at Austin on Friday who wanted a picture at the start of the session. I wish I remembered that far back, Nico, but thank you anyway for being interested. Radio Alex. And those people, if you're watching my stream at the moment, seeing those names pop up in green, that's because they are members. They get a whole host of benefits, and recently I gave a member a signed print. And I also found a winner today for that Sergio Perez print. My son Jace did it's an app you buy, and I don't know whether you buy it or not, but it automatically picks a winner, and it's really good. And I think you might have seen, if you'd watched one of my previous winners, we did it live on a live stream, and we actually spun this machine around and selected a winner. Anyway, this is my room, and it's quite spectacular. It's big. This is the Nobu Hotel side of Caesar's Palace. What have I got down there? Anything embarrassing there? No, that can be used against me. Some dirty clothes. And the bathroom is amazing. And if you saw my video when I checked into this hotel, you would have seen the sink. It's about this deep and this wide, and it's perfect for doing laundry in. But of course, it's got one of these bars over here where if you touch anything or knock it, you've got to put it back within 30 seconds or it automatically rings up on your bill. And I've had 3 expensive bottles of grog pop up on the bill, and I haven't even touched any of it. Now, Celia, what are you saying? I'm speaking from what I've heard. No, I didn't see the earlier stuff. No, I've not been to any strip clubs, Marco. I've got to admit, I've been pretty lazy. I've been either doing stuff in the room, editing, or I've been just wandering up and down the strip, and I think those strip clubs are all out in the back blocks, and I have no interest in getting out there. So I'm saving my money. And I haven't got any cash, so I can't tip. So I'm not used to any of them. And they are overrated. I went to one many years ago with a few people, and it's just an absolute rort. It's just people very cleverly taking money out of your pocket for no real return. Member meets and greets. Thank you, Alex. I've done a couple. I did one last race. Where was that? Mexico. That was great. About 50 people there, 60 or so at the week before in Austin. Probably won't do one in Brazil. I'm not sure I have enough following, and I don't know whether anyone can get to where I would have it, which has to be right outside the paddock. What airline for Brazil flight? No clues. Might be flying private. Who knows? How was the Omnia Club? Look, I didn't go. The Killers were fantastic, and I love one song. I love Somebody Told Me, and I have always loved that song. I didn't know any other songs. Well, it turns out I did know 3 other songs, and I quite liked all the other stuff that they played. I thought they were a terrific band. And the highlight for me, and if you saw my last video, that's in the last video, the drone show, blew me away. Now, I got to admit that I saw the drone show in Saudi Arabia, and it was nothing. It was nothing like what I saw here. That was right up there, world class. I know of Dennis Hauger. I've photographed him a couple of times. I don't know if he's got a chance. Norwegian Goat. But Norwegian Goat, did you get one of my... Oh, no. Denmark. Kevin's Denmark, not Norwegian. I didn't go to any of the concerts, Michael. I really have no interest in concerts. And surprisingly, I was enthralled for the whole of the Killers concert. And it was a good crowd. I think it was only 1,500 people there, I'm guessing. The show cost $4 million, someone says here. Oh, that's incredible. If that's the case, look, it was mind-blowing. Don't get me wrong, it was about 10 minutes long. And they had fireworks. Somebody said that drones are taking off over from fireworks. Well, we had both. The pavement on the strip is awful. Oh, no, they're going to repave that. If you saw my interview in the video with Carsten Tilke, who's Herman Tilke's son and a lovely fella, he already said they're going to have to repave the whole thing. That's going to be done at some point. Singapore also had a drone show. Was there anything like the one we had here? Gosh, that was good. Pato needs more points on his super license. Yes, maybe next year he can get that and be a starter perhaps for 2024. What have I got here? Which track's my favourite? To photograph? Monaco. Always. What other ones do I like? I like Imola. I don't know why, but I've just got a soft spot for Imola. Budapest, I don't mind that one either. For selfish reasons, for photography, not because it produces any quality of racing. And I don't really follow the racing. Half the time we have no idea. And in the last race, I had no internet, so I couldn't hear BBC's coverage. And even when I can, it's always delayed by about 40 seconds, which is not the end of the earth. But half the time we don't know what's going on. Obviously we know the first 3 because I'm back there in Parc Ferme, but oftentimes we're in the dark. Do I ever hang out or go to eat with the drivers? Yeah, I've had meals with a couple of them. Don't do a lot. These guys have no time, and there's a super chat. Ching! Natalie. Great to meet me in Vegas. I hope I didn't disappoint. Loves my videos, informative and fun. Had my first paddock experience in Spa and loved it. Which track do you recommend? Natalie, which track do I recommend? Oh, by the way, if you want to get your comment noticed, there's no better way than Super Chat because I can't avoid it. It just comes up and bing. Which track do I recommend? I've got them all listed here. Bahrain, no. Jeddah, interesting. Melbourne, yeah. Imola, yes. Miami, no. Baku's interesting. Oh, that's Barcelona. Barcelona's so-so. Montreal, I don't love. Baku, I like, yeah. Monaco, yes. Silverstone, no. Spielberg's okay. Accommodation's hard to get. We're not going back to France. Budapest, I like. Spa, accommodation's tough to get anything of quality close to the track. Zandvoort, yeah, I like that. I think that's a great race. And there is good accommodation around the area. good people. In fact, I think if I didn't live in Australia, I might be convinced to live in Zandvoort, in Amsterdam. I quite liked it. Singapore, just so-so. Suzuka, yeah, great place to go, but once again, accommodation's tough. Austin, yeah, expensive to stay in Austin. They're just ripping us off blind. Sao Paulo, not the greatest. And Abu Dhabi's all right because it's the last race of the year. Tom, I've not loved F1 growing up. I knew very little of it. Being an Australian, it wasn't much of a sport for Australians. So I really only got into it perhaps when Daniel got into the sport. No, France is out of the calendar. Simon, we're not going to France, and for good reason. Now, AM Celia has to go to bed, so good night. I gather it's night, you're going to bed. Do I think Monaco GP, all the money put into it, is worth it? Worth it for me. The photographs are great. In fact, I've got an apartment this year, just close to the track. Got to get in early though. Everything fills up. And once again, if you want your comment definitely seen, Super Chat is the way to go. And the more you put in, the brighter the colour of, or the bigger the little icon is up the top here. 248. Oh, some of you haven't liked this. Could you please all hit the like button for me now? Just hit the like button wherever it is. It's somewhere on your screen there. You watch this thing jump up. It'll jump up to 63. 2 of you did it. I think more of you can do it than that. Maybe there's a delay. There we go. Look at that. 75, because there is a slight delay. 86. Let's get it up to 150. That'd be nice. Got some great shots of the Melbourne Cup this year. Good on you, Simon. Horse racing. Oh, that was the wet thing where the people got flooded around the area. Keep going, people, with your likes, please. That is muchly appreciated. Let's get this to 150. We're 114 now. Nice work. Keep going. What do you consider your best photograph of all time? Daniel coming onto the track coming onto the grid in Hockenheim, and Lando and Daniel coming out of the tunnel in the 21 livery, Gulf Oil livery. I love it. 122, that's close enough. But if you can, please, just press that button. Look at that. Bang, 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 bang. I wish I could do it. Any interaction? Yes, with Stefano Domenicali. I saw him at a restaurant one night in London. He usually walked past, he said hello, and we had a quick chat. And then I thought, I'll go back and get one of my wildlife books, because I was staying at a hotel just around the corner, and I just happened to have some of my Africa on Safari wildlife books. And I got him one and dropped it back, and the restaurant gave it to him, and he later thanked me, as I've done with a few drivers, because it's a bloody good book. It's called Africa on Safari. You can see it at kimillman.com. The only thing is it's quite heavy, and it's expensive to ship. Anywhere in the States you really want to visit, photograph? Nothing comes to mind. I saw you went to Chick-fil-A in a video. Yeah, did I put that up on a video? Maybe yeah, I didn't think I put it in there, but yeah, I did go, because I'd heard a story on radio while I was driving somewhere saying that it was the #1 most popular takeaway food place. I didn't think it was anything special. It was okay. It was chicken and a bun, but then I went down to, a couple of times I've been down to, across to In-N-Out Burger, which I adore, and that is exceptionally good value. What is it, $3.50 or $3.60 for a cheeseburger, plus tax, so less than $4, $6 Aussie, and it's a stunning burger, made with fresh ingredients. They cut up everything there. They don't have frozen patties. It's all delivered without being frozen. So yeah, I love the place. Hotels for Las Vegas, $11K for 3 days. Yeah. If you're lucky. Could be more, who knows. Thoughts on an F1 race in Perth down Riverside, drive up to Kings Park, back through the city? Yeah. Wouldn't that be a dream for me? I could stay in my house and just drive to the track each day. What a joy that would be. I don't know whether our government could get that across the line. I took a pic of you yelling, Malone. How can I buy that? I was wearing the RB. Well, if you go to prostarpics.com, I think I put all of the, well, unless it was out of focus. There was one that was out of focus, but I think it was of a young kid. But yeah, go to prostarpics.com and look up my F1 galleries, and you'll find a gallery for the Las Vegas launch, and I reckon you'll find yourself in there. Good night, Radio Alex, one of my good members. Always a pleasure chatting with you too, my friend. How were you able to... No, I didn't... Actually, I did meet Michael Schumacher. I was in the lounge, and he was on the phone in Adelaide, and I was with my wife. Let's see if I can find it. Michael Schumacher. Yeah, here it is. It's very grainy, and this is 30 odd years ago, I'd say. Maybe more. Yeah, look at that. Michael, my wife, and that's his signature on that shirt, which I recently sold because it was too big. It was taking up too much room in my office, so somebody in Melbourne ended up with that. Nice piece of memorabilia with supporting evidence that I was in his vicinity. How do you keep your pictures organised on my laptop? Multani, I use, what's it called? Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. Stunning. So I can just go in here and I can type in Daniel Monza 2021. It'll bring me all those photos up. In-N-Out is the best as a California resident all my life. Yes, and it's also in Texas, this state, maybe one other, but mainly West Coast, huh? Holy crap, Michael, F1 idol growing up. Great races against Mika. Yeah, you'd know more about that than me. Western Canada here, hello. So you're on the same time zone just about as me, maybe an hour, I'm guessing. Only been to one race. Budapest 2015 was awesome. Do I ever get to travel on private jets? Been on one. And I didn't pay for it, thankfully. Have I visited Houston? Well, visited, yes. I drove there from Austin to take my flight, so I drove straight to the airport. That's not really visiting, is it? I didn't spend any time. Hear from when you where with airline videos live. Love from New York City. Thank you. I'll be in New York City, Zachy, the next couple of days. For a brief moment. Why didn't you mention the Red Bull truck? Because I didn't see it. I was nowhere near it. A bit hard to talk about something you didn't see. And also on that day that I shot Michael Schumacher, or got a shot of him, I got him to sign the front page of the Adelaide Advertiser. Grief to Glory. Was that his first World Championship? Anyway, it made the front page of the Adelaide Advertiser. And I was born in Adelaide, so that race has a soft spot. I have a soft spot for it. Your video of travelling to all GPs. Okay, yes. You're planning on doing it? Great. I'll be updating all my race-by-race pages next year with pertinent information. So maybe you'll find a tip or two in there. Where am I staying in New York? At the airport for 1 hour. Maybe 2 or 3, I can't remember. And probably in the lounge. How long is the Vegas to Sao Paulo flight? Don't know. And I don't even know what route it takes. Whether it goes over the top of the world and comes under the bottom, I don't know. I'm very interested to see, because I do a travel video, and my guys in the office do my graphics, and I think if they just put the graphic from New York down to Sao Paulo, maybe that's not the route we take. I don't know. Maybe you airline geeks will know more about it than me. Best regards from Ohio. Thank you for that. And Eliel likes my travel blogs. Have I flown Southwest? Yes, but not in a long time. I noticed there are a lot of Southwest aircraft out here at Nevada Airport, which is very, not Nevada Airport, Las Vegas, and it's very handy to the city. It's fantastic. It's 20 minutes from the terminal to my hotel. Never visited Toronto, and if you want your comment to pop up in the super chat and get my attention, just go ahead and super chat. And another reminder that, oh, look at this, a handful of orders already for prints coming in, for driver prints. Gunther Steiner going up tomorrow. Pierre Gasly's available now. One only of Nick De Vries left. It's a beautiful picture from his very first F1 race. That'll be a collectible. Alex Albon and Valtteri Bottas are the others. So you can get on and grab those. Be posted to many countries in the world. Wisconsin is a better state than Ohio. You may be biased, Alistair, I feel. Adelaide, great place to live. Yeah, I was brought up there. Had some dramas, though. There was a rather nasty clique of people in Adelaide who did some shocking things and ended up going to jail, thankfully. What am I currently reading? Nothing. I'm a terrible book reader. What am I currently watching, though? TikTok, hours of it today. I tell you what I did. I went up to the Waldorf Astoria, which is quite a lovely hotel, and I gather it's reasonably new. And I went up to the lobby, which is on the 23rd floor, and it was lovely and quiet. Now, you don't get quiet in any public space in Las Vegas. It's just full-on noise and carry on and people shouting and yee-hawing and carrying on like that. But this was so quiet, so I sat down, I think, for an hour and a quarter. I just watched stuff on my phone and nodded off to sleep occasionally. So that was a real rare treat. Is Perth really boring? Yeah, I think so. Boring, maybe quiet's a better word. But then again, I don't go out. I just go to Lancelin and sit in my house and do videos for you people. And walk the dog. Occasionally go for a drive on the sand dunes. Any insight on who could be Haas's second driver? I think Gunter might be considering doing it himself. Let's see what happens. What other questions do you people have before I leave you and go and have a beautiful meal at Mr. Chow's, which is Chinese, here at Caesar's Palace? This place is enormous. I don't know how many rooms they've got, but it's got to be thousands. Everywhere you go, there's a restaurant, and there's so many different bars. And of course, it's full of gaming tables. Jace Illman is... we have the same surname, Jace. Perth is excellent. Yeah, but obviously you're in a younger bracket, Jason. You probably go out and do things that would hold little appeal for me. Do you go for a fish often at home? Very rarely. But I did buy a magnet, and I've been very lazy, and I will probably do this over Christmas, maybe, to go down to the jetty in Lancelin and fish with a magnet and see what you pull up off the bottom. Coins, knives, bikes, shopping trolleys, all sorts, if you get a big enough magnet. Visited Perth once. Was awesome, says Caden. Nothing compared to what my friends told me. Okay, so better than what they're talking about. Have I ever considered coming to Mauritius? Yeah, I went to Mauritius, Timo, and I went to the races there. And the racing is interesting because they've got this horse track, but then they close the road and people stand on the road. And I remember I wanted to go into the members area and I didn't have long pants on. So they lent me a pair of grey pants that were about 3 inches too short. But I ended up getting into the members. So I stayed at some resort on the beach. And that was when Jace Illman, who has commented, had just been born. In fact, we had to... excuse me. Jace won't remember this, but we had to do something... We'd had to get him a passport. Well, he didn't even have a passport. We booked the trip before he was born. But yeah, it was quite nice. And I caught a marlin. I was a bit disturbed to see they bash the shit out of it and eat it. But then again, that's what they do there. Whereas other places I've caught big game fish, they tag them and put them back. Can you share your opinion regarding Max boycotting Sky Sports? I like Ted. I get on very well with Ted. I think he's a fine man. I don't think what he said was terribly offensive, but I'm more than happy for Max to do what he thinks. I think it's interesting that effectively it's a British team and they've boycotted a British broadcaster, the biggest British F1 broadcaster, probably the biggest broadcaster of F1 in the world, or is Brazil bigger? But anyway, interesting, and I thought I saw an article that said that it was only a one-match suspension for Sky and that they'd be back talking this week. But I asked Ted and he said no, he hasn't heard anything. I'll be interested to see what happens on Thursday in the TV pen, see whether they talk to each other. Maybe time heals that wound. But look, Max is more than in his own right to do whatever he wants, and hats off to him. Why not go to Hell's Kitchen tonight? I've been there already. I see Gunter Steiner went there the other night. He was actually 3 doors down from me on the same floor in this hotel, him and his lovely wife Gertrude. And they went and had a meal. And it was on a night that the great man himself was there. What's his name? Gordon Ramsay was there. I saw a photo of the 2 of them, 3 of them perhaps, having dinner. Do you give the drivers a copy of their picture? I don't. I'll tell you why. Because I only print the number that we sell because they're totally exclusive in that respect. I often, if I ask them to sign something for me, I will give them a copy, and I might get 2 and I leave one with them, which is a thing I normally do. But no, they don't get this one because they are quite heavily governed by the number of them. Gordon Ramsay is the Simon Cowell of food. He is certainly popular, and I photographed him on a couple of occasions with his daughters at races. He is a fan, and a big man too, physical. Right, here we go. Razza, 390. Do I think Max choosing to attend a virtual endurance race versus a promo for the next big American race compromises his ability to become No, I don't think he's particularly worried about that. No, I don't think he's worried at all about that. Does it compromise his... No, I think he can overcome that. I wouldn't be too worried about that. Have I ever shot Formula Drift? No. What hotel? I'm staying at the Nobu Hotel. This one. Nobu Hotel, Caesar's Palace. And it is glorious. The thing I like about it, and this is very much like my situation when I stayed in the Marriott at Baku during the race, is if you forget something, you just come back up to your room and get it. Now, if I forget something in France, I have to drive an hour and a half back to pick something up from the hotel. So this was great, and I could come back up in here in my room and edit between that ceremony that they did down on the block when they had the line painting, the ceremonial line painting, and between then and the interviews upstairs, I could come back here and edit. Now, did you see this? And I noticed that WTF1 saw this. Where is it? Excuse me. And I'll excuse the crude nature of this, but they had this line painting ceremony, right? And everyone got a tray and they got a roller. And if you go back to here, you had to paint over your name. And they all got the instructions. Just paint over your name, and that way you'd have that, and then you'd have a checkered pattern. However, somebody didn't get the memo. And I could probably work out who it was. Who's got the black shoes on there? This gentleman here. I think he's made an error because look, he's painted both of his squares, and then somebody else has had a start over here, and they've painted one roll, obviously. There we go here. And then they realised, oops, I shouldn't be doing it. Now, that was picked up as something quirky. That's no big drama in life, is it? But it was quite funny that, so someone said, you had one assignment. Someone didn't understand the assignment. That's right, you had one job. What other motorsports would I photograph? I wouldn't. I don't think there's any. Maybe MotoGP, but I don't think it would hold the same appeal for me. Did I know they were going to drive a Red Bull car? No. Now, F1 didn't know that. They didn't know that they were going to drive it down on the boulevard here, at Las Vegas Boulevard, at midnight that night either. And I think if they'd have asked permission, F1 would have said no. But far better to ask forgiveness than it is to ask permission. That line painting thing, says EA40's Life with Cars, is ironically a good representation of how senior leadership can be like in the corporate world. Yeah, I will find out who that person was because it's interesting. Am I a fan of WTF1? My son is a fan. I've not looked at their stuff. I think I see their stuff on Instagram. Yes, they have the bit at the top and bit at the bottom on Instagram. But look, I'm really lazy in that. I don't go and actively read. I know someone like Ted Kravitz often looks at my stuff, and he's looking at stuff everywhere. I think he's really on the ball. I'm not that much on the ball. I tend to be off doing my own thing. How was my day, Kim? I didn't do any work today, so I just wandered around. It was lovely. I have to do a video tomorrow with my travel video, and I did about 20 minutes of video recording. And Colombia, Nick, are you going to see a race in Colombia? I'm hearing that they're looking at it. Very interesting. Friendliest and rudest. There's no rude driver. Never come across a rude driver. Friendliest? Oh, it just depends. What I find friendly is because I know them, so it might be Pierre's always friendly, and Lando, and Daniel, and Valtteri, Charles, but none of them are rude. Not Lewis, who you'd think, who's the big star. He's never rude. He often will say, "Oh, can I get through there, Kim," or whatever. None of them are rude. I have seen a video of someone having a crack at a photographer 20 years ago, but there's nothing like that now. You can't be. The social media is too big, and you don't want to come across looking like a cock. Do I read the FIA media guide prior to the race? No. I tend to ask more questions at the track. Brian from Horsham, 3WM country, right across the border from Naracoorte, where, Brian, I did 16 weeks working for the ANZ Bank. I used to listen to your radio station, 3WM, which I gather, well, maybe it's not still there, maybe it's turned FM. Do the drivers arrive early in Abu Dhabi? No idea. You'll know by their social media. How do I manage jet lag? Never have a problem, except when I came to the US here this time. It was a bit ordinary, but now I'm sleeping all right. Aussie F1 tourist met Pierre in the hotel in Singapore. Such a lovely guy, yeah. And I bet that was late in the night. That would have been probably after midnight. The fact you hesitated before answering that question blatantly gave you away your answer. Which answer was that? You missed a donation, did I? Who did I miss? Let's go back. Yes, I did. Ying Yang Yuv. 39, what is that, rupee? Is that? Thank you very much for your love heart and your yin and yang symbol on the side there. Gracias. Is F1 considering a chase-style format since there is no significance at this point? I don't know. You would know more than me, I think. You did miss a brief donation. He forgot to include the text with the donation, yes. Tell Ted to start uploading to his channel. Okay, I'll say that to him. I'll say that. Clinton Brown, who's a very avid follower of my stuff. Thank you, Clinton. Hulk transfer to Haas, close to confirm now. I better send his manager a note and say, when are we going to do a signed print deal with him? 2026, Colombia. Now, is that a safe country to go to? Do we have to be worried? It's a bit like Brazil and Mexico. I like plane spotting Honkit. I like it. I loved what those guys did down there with their setup and their 8 hours commenting on what they saw at the airport. It was fantastic. It was quite funny too, because I went up and had a chat with them, and I can't remember what I said, but they weren't that interested. And then I walked back, and then suddenly they were saying, "Are you Kyle or Kim?" Yes. Lots of people know you. They recognise you. I said, "Oh, that's nice." Then a bit later, she came up and said, "Do you want to have a chat with us?" I said, "Yeah, come on, let's do it." Colombia is actually much safer than it used to be. Colombia and Venezuela have pretty much traded places in safety and such. What do you expect to be the biggest logistical challenge for the LVGP? Oh, I haven't thought about it. Thank you, Galactus. Did you see any magic shows? I did see one stage show. I saw a Cirque show, which I always go and see. It's a regular thing for me, but no magic. I see David Copperfield's on here. And what's the other guy? You will tell me. Chris Angel, yeah. Getting back to that question, logistics. There'll be no buses for us to go around the track, that's for sure. So we're going to have to walk, and going from one end of the track to the other will be quite an investment of time. So I dare say I'm unlikely to be shooting down the far end of the track. I'll probably more stay around the paddock and down around from Caesar's Palace back to the paddock as the cars go in that direction. And the back route that comes out onto Coval Lane or Coval Avenue, that's a very ugly street at the moment. It's full of rubbish and debris, and I guess they're going to put grandstands in those parking lots, which would make sense. lots of homeless people down there will have to be sorted out. In fact, I don't know whether I did go to Beatles Love, Jay Silman, yes I did. And I loved it. It was only about 2/3 full. Absinthe is a good show. Yeah, that's on here at Caesars. And I see the posters for it everywhere. Any country I'd like to see F1 have a race in. So many countries, isn't there? No, I'm pretty happy. Yeah, Coval is a scummy street. I think they'll tidy it up and maybe it'll be good. And you know that the area where that paddock is, which is at the corner of Coval and whatever that other one is going to be, that paddock is going to be a full year-round tourist destination. When it's not used for F1, there'll be tours and other, I think they're going to put a go-kart track in there as well. So it won't be just for 4 days per year. They will get more use out of it. I'm all for F1 expanding in the US, but it's out of reach for the average fan. More affordable to fly to Hungary and Spa. Yeah. Because those are tracks that don't need, I guess here you've got, first year they've got this huge expense of having to set up a paddock and all that. And as I mentioned earlier on, there are nowhere near as many grandstand seats, I understand, as what there are in, say, a Silverstone or a Melbourne. So they don't have that sort of luxury. And so you're going to have to pay a bit more. But supply and demand. There's a lot of money in this country, and half of my print sales, driver print sign print sales, come out of the USA. And what about out of Europe? 9%. So the Americans, they value this sort of stuff. They love the memorabilia. They want it to be authentic. They don't want to get ripped off. And they've got the money. And who can blame? If somebody offered you double your wages for the same job, what would you do? You'd be interested, and I think a lot of you would take it. We love stuff, says Mark. Yep. You love big meals. What about this morning? I thought because Caesars are hosting me, I went to breakfast and I thought, I'll have some pancakes after I'd had this lovely avocado toast. And the guy said, you want a short stack of 1 or 3? I thought, 3. I just have 3. Well, they're about that size, each pancake. So I only got through 1.5. Best buffet is Cosmo. No, I haven't been down there. I'm a Texan who wants a Danny Rick pick. Well, the moment I do a deal with Daniel, you'll find out about it, especially if you are registered, because you'll get first notification via email. And if I get a Danny Rick deal, they'll go quick, real quick. Mercedes reserve driver, says Diwa Shawley. I saw in some post that he's also been in talks with Red Bull. Who knows? Time to get to dinner. Yeah, I've got another 17 minutes before I'm due at Mr. Chow's, and the walk's 6 minutes. And I just got to put my shoes on. Look at this lovely shirt. A person who came along to one of my meet and greets gave me 2 shirts. This one, which is a vintage shirt, and another one which I can't find, which is even more special because it's got Haas on the back. So these are great for just hanging around the room in. Did you like my candid photos of you I took in Las Vegas? Caleb, I haven't even been able to get it. If you're the person who sent me that link, I haven't been able to get into it because I've got to be a Google sign on. As soon as it involves passwords, forget it. It's going to take me forever. But thank you in advance. I will open it at some point, probably when I get back to Australia, and I'll get my IT people to show me how to do it. Thanks for all the footage and content, says Mark. Hope to shake your hand next week in Vegas. Well, I'll be here, and I'll do a meet and greet next year because it'll be nice and easy. Colombia is very safe. Much, much better than Mexico or Sao Paulo. It is like Monza, and I've been in Monza twice. I left this rig on a seat in a cafe in Monza on the street. It was this. I pulled the seat in underneath the table, so a lot of people wouldn't have seen that there was a camera there. And I went off shopping, and then I went back to my apartment, and then I'm getting these messages from my son and my wife because they're on the same email list as I am for one particular email address, and they're saying, Kim, you've left your camera at this restaurant. And I've gone, shit, I have too. So I've rushed back and they'd luckily found it. And because I have my name and my email address on it, they'd contacted me. So I gave them a nice reward because it saved me a whole lot of mucking about. If you want to get your comments seen before I finish up here, Super Chat is the way to go. Please take more pictures of Mick. Now, so unfortunately, Mick is very difficult. He often goes in the second entrance, and if we're up, because we stay mainly up the end where Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren are, and that's where most of the action happens. So to go right to the end of the paddock is a bit of an investment in time, and that's why I don't get many shots of him, because he often uses that second entrance, and he's not that visible. Is the Red Bull Air Show up there this weekend too? It's amazing. Saw it at the Oval. I don't know. Well, in Las Vegas? Is that Nellis Air Force Base thing? I don't know. What else have we got here? Hulkenberg plus Magnussen equals fireworks. Let's see. My favourite track to photograph thus far. Always Monaco. Always Monaco. Saw it on the way out. Okay, nice. Well, what's your route for getting to Brazil via New York? You can't buy a Powerball in Vegas. Have to drive to count. What's Powerball? Is that the lottery? Powerball. Anyway, there's plenty of gambling to be done here. I don't think you have to be worrying about lotteries. What do I think about the track layout for Vegas? Not really anything. I don't know whether it's good or bad. But anyway, I'm delighted that the audio is okay on this because I've got my microphone up here. And I lost another one of these RAM mounts. I leave them in rental cars and it pisses me off. So last year I lost one, this year I lost one, and you can't just easily buy this suction mount that goes on the window and this ball and then the arm and another ball and then a bracket. I'm going to have to take two next year and just bank on losing one. Any questions before I leave you to go and have dinner at Mr. Chow's at Caesar's Palace? Anyone coming down for a drink? What about a 30 meeting in Canada with all your YouTube fans Wednesday before the race? Yeah, but somebody said that we don't get there until Thursday or Friday. So having a Wednesday meetup is really only for probably people who live in that city. $1.9 billion is the jackpot? Far out. That will just completely ruin someone's life. Did you and your crew enjoy Bucky's beaver nuggets? I didn't have any beaver nuggets. But anyway, people, that is what I'm going to say goodbye. Safe travels. One more question, Albert. Thank you for your best wishes there. All right, I'll answer two. Never been to a NASCAR race. No interest. Oh yeah, I might be interested in shooting Laguna Seca just for that. Was it the corkscrew? Is that the one over the hill? And the weather in Vegas has been cool and windy on some days, but on other days just perfect. Excuse me, not hot. Just nice, and it would be a pleasure to photograph F1 in conditions like that, not stinking hot and not raining. What am I ordering for tea? I don't know. I haven't seen the menu yet, but I can tell you it won't be cheap because none of these restaurants are cheap, but they're not starved for patrons. With that said, my friends, I'll say you